You agreed to the bet? Man, it's just Mike's face, so, you know.
I'm Ryan. I'm the head painter and artist at Counts Customs. I really love to work on motorcycles. Ever since I was knee-high, I loved two wheels.
For years, one rumor refused to die. It claimed Ryan Evans had stolen from Counts Customs, betrayed Danny Koker, and was fired in disgrace. Millions of fans watched videos, shared posts, and debated whether one of Counting Cars' most trusted stars had secretly destroyed everything he had spent years building. But was any of it true? Who really betrayed Danny Koker? And why did Danny eventually speak out on the record? Join us as we reveal the truth behind one of the biggest rumors between Ryan Evans and Danny Koker. The scandalous rumor. This rumor spread across Facebook groups, YouTube comment sections, automotive forums, and countless fan pages dedicated to counting cars. Every time someone mentioned Counts Customs, the same accusation resurfaced. According to the story, one of Danny Koker's closest employees had betrayed him from the inside. Thousands of dollars had disappeared, trust had been shattered, and someone everyone recognized from television had stolen from the very shop that made him famous. Before long, one name kept appearing over and over: Ryan Evans. To longtime viewers, it almost sounded believable. Ryan was the shop's lead painter, Danny's creative right-hand man, and one of the most recognizable faces on the show. He had spent years transforming ordinary cars into rolling works of art. But if anyone had access to Counts Customs, surely Ryan did, and that assumption was all the internet needed to create a story. The rumors snowballed. One website would repeat it. A YouTube thumbnail would feature Ryan's face next to headlines about theft. Social media users copied those headlines without checking where they came from. Soon, people weren't asking whether Ryan had stolen from Danny. They were asking how much had been stolen, and if he was really behind bars. The strange part was that almost nobody could point to an episode of Counting Cars where this supposedly happened. Yet the rumor continued growing because it fed the kind of story audiences often expect from reality television: a trusted employee secretly betraying the boss. But the real story actually began somewhere else. However, before we get into that, what exactly did Danny Koker have to say about the accusation that took the internet with force? Who Ryan Evans actually is to Danny Koker? The betrayal would have been really scandalous because of the depth of history between both men. When Danny Koker had initially founded Counts Customs in Las Vegas, Ryan Evans was already in the picture. According to Danny Koker himself, the two men have worked together for at least 25 years, from the period before Counts Customs had any television presence whatsoever, through the entire 10-season run of Counting Cars, from 2012 to 2021, and into the years afterward when the cameras went away and the actual business kept operating without them. So, when Danny was asked about Ryan's betrayal, his expression was with deep disappointment. He did not mince words when he finally talked about the embezzlement rumors that had attached themselves to Ryan's name. "That is a horrible rumor about Ryan," Koker said. "My lord, this guy has been with me for 25 years. This guy is like a brother, like family. We truly love each other like family." When Counting Cars premiered on History in 2012, Ryan Evans appeared in all 196 episodes across the show's 10-season run. Every single episode, from the very first to the very last, including the Season 10 finale that ended up being the show's final episode in December 2021. That is the participation record of someone who was foundational to what the show actually was, week after week, year after year, for nearly a decade. His work on screen was genuinely impressive, and it wasn't manufactured for the cameras in the way reality television craftsmanship sometimes can be. He painted a vampire-themed 1981 Chevy C10 van for Danny in bright red with flame detailing, a vehicle Koker had personally owned since 1982 and had gone through multiple redesigns over the decades, with Ryan's version becoming the one that finally stuck and remained. He gave a 1971 Superfly Cadillac, featured in Season 3, a sleek gold paint job that turned heads at every car show it appeared at. He painted a 1973 Buick Riviera boat tail with a black base and intricate red and silver detailing that remains one of the show's most visually distinctive and frequently referenced builds. These were the kind of signature pieces that came to define what made Count's Kustoms special as a brand worth watching. This is the man the rumor said had betrayed Danny Koker. So where did this rumor actually come from, if not from anything Ryan actually did? Where the embezzlement rumor actually originated? Danny Koker has confirmed directly that embezzlement did occur within his business, but it was committed by an employee who held a managerial position within the company. When the theft was discovered, Danny removed that person from the business entirely and presumably handled the matter through whatever legal and financial channels such a situation requires. What happened next is a case study in how misinformation actually spreads in the modern media environment and how an innocent, well-liked public figure can become the accidental target of a rumor that was never really about him in the first place. Somehow, along the way, the rumors came out that it was Ryan, Danny explained. Back in 2016, Count's Kustoms had filed a lawsuit against a former employee named Joseph Frontiera. The company alleged that he had used more than $75,000 of company money for personal expenses, including a down payment on his own Range Rover and personal airline tickets. The lawsuit also claimed that his handling of company finances resulted in thousands of dollars in IRS penalties. Court records later showed that he faced legal trouble connected to the allegations. Unlike Ryan, Joseph Frontiera was not one of the show's most recognizable personalities. Many casual viewers barely remembered him. His appearances were limited, and he never became a central cast member the way Ryan Evans did. That difference turned out to matter. As news articles about the lawsuit spread online, some publishers and content creators began using photographs of Ryan Evans instead of Joseph Frontiera. Sometimes it happened because Ryan was far more recognizable to fans searching for counting cars. Other times, misleading thumbnails attracted more clicks than pictures of someone viewers barely knew. Either way, Ryan's face became attached to a crime he had never been accused of committing. Once those images circulated, the internet did what it often does. People shared screenshots instead of reading articles. One post became 10. 10 became hundreds. Eventually, countless fans genuinely believed Ryan Evans had stolen from Danny Koker simply because they had seen his photograph next to stories discussing embezzlement. The rumor became so widespread that many viewers assumed Ryan must have quietly disappeared from Count's Kustoms afterward. But this wasn't the first time such speculation and misinformation would spread like wildfire. Danny Koker has had to deal with this kind of misinformation repeatedly, and not just regarding Ryan. He has described an entire ecosystem of fake accounts impersonating him online, reaching out to real fans through connections to his legitimate social media followers, convincing people they are talking to the real Danny Koker, and then defrauding them out of real money through fake deposits and fake sales agreements. "There is too much evil in the world right now," Koker said, "and I feel horrible that people fall for this." But the embezzlement story isn't the only rumor that's been built around Ryan Evans's relationship with counting cars. There's a second rumor that took root for an entirely different reason. Let's get into it. The silence that fueled a second rumor. Before the embezzlement rumor took hold, there was already a different kind of speculation building around Ryan Evans, one deeply rooted in the much simpler, much more common phenomenon of fans noticing a gap in available information and filling it with their own theories, the way audiences invariably do when a beloved figure goes quiet without explanation. Counting Cars concluded its 10th season on December 1st, 2021, and no announcement of an 11th season followed in the months afterward. For a show that had been running consistently since 2012, the absence of any confirmation about its future was, in itself, unusual enough to generate genuine concern among longtime viewers. But what made fans anxious about Ryan in particular was his pattern of activity, or rather, his pattern of inactivity across social media during that exact period. Ryan had been a fairly active presence on Twitter, sharing personal updates, announcing upcoming projects, and promoting art-related conventions where he would make appearances and meet fans directly. Then, in April 2019, he essentially stopped posting on that platform altogether. The silence wasn't completely total. He resurfaced occasionally, including a single retweet roughly a year after his last regular post, expressing agreement about supporting American-made products. But the dramatic change in his pattern of public engagement was noticeable enough that dedicated fans of the show picked up on it quickly and began discussing it among themselves. He remained somewhat more active on Facebook for a considerably longer stretch, posting about his ongoing projects, commenting directly on Counting Cars episodes as they aired, and sharing announcements from Kustoms through early December 2021. But even that activity slowed significantly once the 10th season ended, dropping to once or twice every 2 weeks, and then settling to roughly once a week by February 2022. And critically, what posts remained increasingly stopped referencing his work for Kustoms specifically, which only added fuel to the growing speculation. For a fan base that had spent an entire decade watching this man appear in every single episode of their favorite show, that kind of quiet withdrawal from public-facing content, combined with the show's genuinely uncertain future, was more than enough to generate sustained speculation across forums and comment sections. Was Ryan unhappy with his job after all those years? Had he wanted to leave and start his own independent company, free from the demands of television production? Was there tension behind the scenes that the show's quiet cancellation had finally allowed to surface into public view? None of those theories turned out to be accurate in any respect. Ryan never issued any single definitive public statement clarifying whether he would be returning if the show came back, and that absence of a clean, clear, official statement, the kind of thing a publicist might issue on behalf of a more heavily managed celebrity, left exactly the kind of vacuum that speculation thrives in and multiplies within. The boring, accurate answer, as it turned out, was simply this: Ryan Evans is a working artist who paints cars and motorcycles for a living, day in and day out. He is not, by personality or by professional necessity, a constant public communicator in the way that influencers or full-time content creators are increasingly expected to be in the modern attention economy. The end of a television show's production schedule does not necessarily translate into any urgent need to issue public statements about your ongoing employment status, especially when nothing whatsoever about your actual day-to-day employment status has actually changed. And what the actual employment status was what Ryan was genuinely doing during all of those quiet months when fans were busy constructing elaborate theories about his sudden departure, turns out to be the most straightforward and reassuring answer of all. So, what was he doing now? What Ryan Evans was actually doing the whole time. While the internet was busy building elaborate, dramatic theories about Ryan Evans abandoning Kustoms, In a cloud of scandal and unspoken resentment, the actual reality is considerably less dramatic and considerably more reassuring in every respect. He never left. Ryan Evans has continued working at Count's Kustoms throughout the entire period that fans spent speculating about his absence and constructing theories around his silence. He has continued doing the exact same work that made him a fan favorite during the show's original run, painting vehicles with the same precision and artistry, creating custom graphic designs, handling the airbrush and bodywork projects that require the decades-developed expertise he has always brought to the shop. Together with Danny and the rest of the Count's Kustoms team, Ryan has remained part of the shop's content creation efforts even after the television show itself stopped producing new episodes for history. The team has built out a dedicated YouTube channel under the Count's Kustoms name, documenting current builds, revisiting old projects from the show's original run, and maintaining a direct relationship with fans that doesn't depend on a network's production schedule or a show's official renewal status. They've also maintained an active presence on TikTok, adapting deliberately to the platforms where audiences actually spend their time now, rather than passively waiting for a cable network to decide whether their show still carries enough commercial value to justify a comeback. Ryan maintains his own public-facing presence as well, continuing to post under his recognizable handle and sharing his ongoing work directly with the fan base that has followed him since the show's earliest seasons. None of this, not one piece of it, is the behavior of a man who was left in disgrace, who was quietly pushed out following a financial scandal, or who has any kind of estranged or damaged relationship with the business or with the man who runs it. Since both rumors turned out to be false, why didn't he ever address the rumors? Or did he? The personality behind the name. For most people, a rumor that spreads across the internet demands an immediate response since, in today's world, silence is often mistaken for guilt. However, Ryan Evans chose a very different path. He didn't release a lengthy statement defending himself or sat down for an interview to explain what had happened. He simply kept doing what he had always done. To many fans, that silence seemed unusual. But anyone who had followed Ryan's career closely knew it was entirely consistent with the kind of person he had always appeared to be. Unlike some reality television personalities who embrace fame beyond the show, Ryan has consistently kept a low profile. Even during the height of counting cars, he rarely sought the spotlight outside of filming. Interviews with him have always been relatively uncommon, and when he does speak publicly, the conversation almost always returns to his craft, custom paintwork, design, and the creative process that first brought him into Danny Koker's shop. His personal life has remained almost entirely separate from his television career. Fans know remarkably little about the people closest to him, and that appears to be by design. Ryan has been married for years, but unlike many television personalities, he has never built a public identity around his relationship. His wife has largely remained out of the spotlight, and Ryan has rarely discussed their marriage in interviews or on social media. While some celebrities regularly invite cameras into their homes or share intimate moments online, Ryan has consistently drawn a clear line between the person viewers see at Count's Kustoms and the life he lives once the cameras stop rolling. That same boundary extends beyond his marriage. Very little is publicly known about his day-to-day family life, his routines away from the shop, or the details of his private world. Instead, nearly everything fans know about Ryan comes from watching him work. His reputation has been built not on personal headlines, but on years of carefully airbrushing custom vehicles and earning the respect of colleagues who value his craftsmanship. In many ways, that approach helps explain why he never publicly fought the rumor. Responding would have required him to step into the kind of public attention he has spent most of his career avoiding. It would have meant turning a private individual into the center of a public controversy, something that has never seemed to fit Ryan's personality. Instead, his actions became his response. That doesn't necessarily mean ignoring the rumors was easy. Anyone falsely linked to a theft allegation would likely find it frustrating. But rather than giving the rumor more publicity by engaging with it publicly, Ryan's approach reflected the same reserved personality fans had seen from the beginning. He has always been known more for patience than publicity, more for precision than performance. Ironically, the very qualities that made Ryan one of Kustoms' most respected craftsmen, his quiet demeanor, his focus on work, and his desire to keep his personal life private, also meant there was very little public response for the internet to latch onto. In the absence of a dramatic rebuttal, the rumor continued circulating among people who never looked beyond the headlines. Yet, through it all, Ryan never changed course. While the internet debated a story that wasn't true, he continued living much as he always had, protecting his family's privacy, staying away from unnecessary publicity, and allowing the quality of his work and the trust Danny Koker continued to place in him to speak for itself. Have you ever believed an internet rumor that later turned out to be completely different from the truth? Did you think Ryan Evans was really the employee everyone was talking about? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.